beyond the thin blue line, where the truth hides behind the badge. This is Beyond.
What's up, guys? My name is Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Anthony. Anthony, what's going on?
How you doing, Jay, today?
Good, man. Doing good. So this is the first episode of our new podcast called Beyond the Thin Blue Line. For those who don't know, we are both retired police officers from Connecticut. And we kind of wanted to bring a show to you guys that shows you the inner workings of the police departments, okay? Stuff that happens behind the scenes that people don't really know about. So society can kind of understand really what's going on in policing, okay? We're starting to see a lot more anti-police rhetoric. Obviously the media coming at the police a lot. And there's a lot of gray areas where people don't really understand how police departments work. And when it comes down to it, we are two guys that have a love-hate relationship with policing. And what I mean by that is I love policing, man. I got hired very early in my life at around 22 years old. And, I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to do good things. I wanted to get guns and drugs. And, I feel like I did do those things, but you're not really ready for what happens on the inside of the police department. When you're in the police academy, they don't really tell you about how the leadership is, how you're going to be treated, how you might be liked, disliked, and how that can affect your career in a lot of ways. I don't know about your police academy. I mean, for us, we had our own. You, I guess, went to up in Meriden. Did you go to Meriden?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So for us, we had our own police academy where it was really just all guys from our own department, and the people who ran it were bosses from that department. So we didn't really mingle with other types of departments where in your police academy, you have other guys from other places and other departments and stuff. So it's a little bit different, where with us, it's, we're just dealing with our own breed, really. And, they don't really structure you out to understand how the police department works in the aspect of dealing with bad bosses, bad leadership.
No, they don't.
Garbage cops, just so much, and even, I do really feel like when, they bring the union in and stuff, and they might talk to you about, what the union can do for you and this and that, but they don't really get into the nitty gritty of whatever happens if you get into trouble or you're they never talk to you about that. So you really don't know how to handle it when it comes down to it. And to really give you guys a real look at who we are as people, not just police officers. Obviously we're retired now, so we're not police officers anymore. I'm not even involved in policing anymore. At this point in time, after I retired, I knew I didn't want to be a cop anymore. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to really pursue more things in my life. I'm a very creative guy. So I do a lot of other things where I have a supplement company. I do a lot of fitness coaching. I barber now. I do a wide variety of things that gave me more freedom and control of my own life. Where I think a big part of that, honestly, was me wanting to do those things. I always was a creative guy to a certain extent. And I find that it's kind of interesting. I mean, for a guy like me in a police department, leadership and other cops, they don't understand how you can do other things. You know what I mean? I don't know if
they don't get it.
No, it's like a lot of these guys in these police departments, that's all they live for. You know what I mean? That's all they know. Yep. They don't have anything else to their life.
Well, so that's who they identify as.
Of course. I mean, what's kind of funny is I tell people all the time this story where I tell them, I'm like, listen, the loudest guys you see on social media or driving down the street and they got fucking 100 thin blue line stickers on their car. Everywhere they go, they're wearing fucking cop shit. Those are the fakest cops you will see. Those are the guys that don't do the job. Those are the guys that want everybody to know they're a cop, but are so afraid to get out of their cruiser and actually do the job.
Yep.
That's the reality of policing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you get those types of guys, like we just said, that's their identity. And even when I retired, I said to myself, man, I watched so many guys go do 25 years of policing. And then what do? They retire and they go and be a cop again, right next door, right in the town next door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you do that? You're starting all over. Don't you have any more ambition, any more, you know? And listen, there's a lot of guys that, you know, all they care about is the money. They chase the money. This is what they're best at. And so I understand that. And I'm not necessarily bashing these types of people. Everybody has a view on what they want to do with their life, and I respect that. But for me, I knew that I wanted to venture out and do other things. So that's what I'm doing now in my life. I'm down here in South Florida. I moved out of Connecticut. You're still up there, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, listen, bro, you know, it is what it is. A lot of people stay up there. They got reasons they need to stay up, their family, kids, all this other stuff, you know. But for me, I kind of knew my goal was always to get out of Connecticut and come back down to South Florida. I was born down here, so wanted to always come back down here and live my life down here. So that's what I'm doing. And when it comes down to it, we want to give you guys a real open look at who we are as people. And we want you to understand that we're not guys that always support police and cops, okay? If there's a bad cop, if a cop is doing something wrong, we will say that guy was wrong, okay? And that's basically how you have to be if you want to be a good cop. You cannot be biased, all right?
No.
It's kind of interesting because when I look at policing and being out of it now, I'm a type where, man, I have such an overthought brain and I think very deeply into things, so it makes me kind of break things down a lot and reflect a lot as well, which is extremely important for your growth in life. But when I look back at policing, during it, you don't really understand it as much as you do after it. Yeah. You know, I kind of see policing now very differently in terms of how it grew me as a man. And I think that to really get the benefits out of what policing could do for you in terms of growing you and getting a beneficial part of your life in terms of growth, you have to really do the job, number one. Okay. Yeah. If you sit in your cruiser and you're afraid and this and that and whatever, you're never growing. You're never gonna. And that has to do with anything in life, you know. So if you are one of those cops, if you watch this and you know, you just started, you might be afraid, this and that and whatever, just go out there and do it, man. Like, ask questions. Like, this is kind of what I did in my whole life, no matter what I was doing. I find people that I watch people. I watch to see who's good. You know what I mean? Who I think is a good cop or a good, you know, I'm into bodybuilding. Who's a good bodybuilder? Who's a good this? Who's a good that? And then I ask them questions. Or I try to, like, just watch what they do and emulate that or do it in my own way, because there's a lot of people you can learn from, man. I mean, when I got on the job, I was very lucky to work from second shift is when I first got on midnights, but worked most of my career on second shift from 3 to 11, 4 to 12. And I'm grateful that I got to work with guys, veterans that you know, were good guys that took me under their wing along with my partner. And, you know, we're willing to teach us. But at the same time, if you're a new cop, you have to understand something. If you want to be good at this job, like I said, you can't be afraid, number one. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing you could do when you first get out there is to show the veteran cops that you're willing to work, okay? Yeah. The biggest thing is taking jobs from them, okay? You get on the job, you're brand new, go out there and show them that you want to learn, okay? As well as understanding that these guys been out there forever. They're burnt out. Okay, most of them are burnt out. So you go out there, you take the calls come in, you take them. You overload yourself. That's the only way to learn and get the respect. Okay, so when we start to go into more and more in this podcast about policing and stuff, we're gonna give you guys a lot of our own experiences, how we learned, the mistakes we made, and believe me, there's a lot of them. But the reality of making mistakes is that they're necessary, and the lessons there are extremely important to you understanding how to be better and what this job really entails. Because at the end of the day, people hate cops and people love cops. All right. So there's a lot of mixture of society there. And you're going to deal with a lot of scrutiny. All right. Mm-hmm. Your whole entire life, every part of your life is going to be attached to that part of the job.
On and off the job, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So this is where we will venture into our backgrounds of the job and why we kind of want to bring this podcast to you guys. And yes, there's other podcasts that might be similar and stuff and talk like this, but I think that the more the better, because this is something society really needs to understand. And as we start to see more being exposed, government and leaderships and all this stuff is, in my opinion, the worst people are at the top. Unfortunately, all right. This country is being ran by a lot of bad people that disguise themselves as good people, and fortunately for society, we're starting to wake up a little bit to that. Social media has helped, but it also creates a problem at the same time. So really, what we want to do is just be an open book for you guys, and we're going to bring on people that are retired cops, current cops. We're going to open this up to everybody. If you're somebody who wants to tell your story, if you were a cop that got fired, that got in trouble, that dealt with corruption inside the police department, got screwed over by corrupt leadership, corrupt chiefs, bad bosses, we want to talk about it, because this is the real part of policing that people don't understand. They understand that the job's hard, right? Yeah. It's very stressful. You're dealing with negativity all the time. You're dealing with the worst types of people in society, but they also don't ever talk about how hard the inside of the police department is. Okay. That might be the harder part, because the reality for me was when I got on the job, I expected to deal with all the bullshit on the street. I expected to deal with bad people, stress, all that shit. Yeah. It's part of it. And to be a good cop, you have to expect that. You can't be blindsided by it. It's part of it. So what I didn't expect was how shady the inside of the police department can be. Okay. And it's really kind of shocking, really kind of shocking. And I'm sure that there's people watching that have family members that are cops and hear the stories and this and that. But even so, until you really see it for yourself, and you have to go, but remember, we have to wake up every single day and go there every day and deal with not only the stress on the outside of the department, but the stress on the inside of the department. So it's a double whammy there that really, really can affect you in a bad way. Okay. So we're going to get into all this stuff. First and foremost, I'm going to introduce myself, and then we'll go into my story on who I was as a cop, when I got hired, and I'll tell you everything about what happened with me, at least in the beginning of my career, because over the podcast, we'll start to get into more and more of the things that happened with me and why they happened. And the sad part of it is a lot of these police departments, they have rules, right? Ours were called general orders. What were yours called?
We were the same way.
General orders?
Same way, yep.
So we have general orders. Obviously, throughout the country, they call these things different stuff. Yeah. But as for us, they were called general orders. And these are rules that you have to abide by within the police department, okay? And a lot of times, these rules are either outdated. They never update them. Because here's what happens. And I came across this so many times, I can't tell you. And actually, it worked to my benefit in a lot of ways, because the leadership is lazy. All right. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. All right. Society will sit there and act like leadership is the best of the best, because when they go on TV, they're in their nice white shirts and they have all their stars and badges on, and they talk very eloquently, just like the politicians do. Mm-hmm. And behind the scenes, they're not like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they feed you a facade. And the reality of these guys that are at the top is they barely do their job. They barely come to work. Okay. I can't tell you how many times the secretaries and all the people that worked in the chief's office were like, we haven't even seen the chiefs in weeks, because they have no accountability. Okay. The mayor is not sitting in the police department looking for these guys every day. And these guys are just basically doing whatever they want. Okay. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we'll get into what the promotional process is at some point, maybe in this episode, to understand how these guys get in these positions. but you usually are getting the worst of the worst at the top. Okay. And the promotional process is a big reason for that, as well as the corruption and how these people get in these positions based off of what they're willing to do, which in my opinion, I never took a promotional test. I never took like to be a boss. I did try to get into undercover units and this and that, but I got blackballed a lot, and we'll go over those things. But this is why the leadership is so bad, because a lot of times it's just the shittiest cops getting to the top, and the promotional process is a big reason for that. But we'll get into that. All right, so Anthony, I'm gonna tell these guys my story, and then we'll get into your story, because we both had kind of similar scenarios. And this is something people need to understand about us. They need to understand that we are real people. Things do happen. We're not perfect, and society wants to believe that police should be perfect, but they have to understand that's just not reality. Okay, no. We try to be. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But just like everybody else, we're growing as we get older. We're learning, and that's everything in society. Everybody. So even the people that want to scrutinize us, you're doing the same. You got to be realistic with yourselves, people. Okay, because we're all learning about life. We're all learning about ourselves. We're all getting into situations that we might not have ever been in our life before. All right. And when it comes to your job being attached to that, and listen, we've seen this happening over the years recently, where a lot of people are getting canceled and getting fired from jobs for posting stuff on social media and this and that. So they're starting to get, society's starting to get a little bit of a wake up call on how shit can be. And they need to understand that that's how cops live their life every single day. We have to worry about that shit every single day, and now even more. Okay, so I'll explain to you guys what happened to me in the beginning of my career, which unfortunately really kind of dragged on throughout my entire career, created a complete mess for me. And a lot of that was not necessarily because I continued to do bad things or get in trouble, but because that one incident will stay with you for your whole life. Because what happens is people will hold on to that. All right. The people that know that you're a good dude, the people that know you're a good cop, the people that know you proved yourself after the fact, those people will support you. Okay. And they will forget about it. And they will take the good that you have done afterwards, and they will forget about the one bad day. And that's all it can be, is one bad day. Yep. You know what I mean? That's how crazy things can get, and this can happen with anybody. All right. Listen. And that's a big thing with cops. We're taking people's freedoms away. All right. So we have to kind of really understand how one bad day can affect you forever. And honestly, when we get into my story, before I tell you guys this, I think what happened with me was extremely important and necessary for me to be a good cop. And I say that because it happened very early in my career. And because I went through something, when I got back out there on the street, I had the experience of having to go through the system, like a lot of the people are that I'm going to put handcuffs on. So that makes me think a little bit deeper into, is this necessary? How can I help this person? How can I, and I think that if you're somebody that just has it easy all the time, and, and we see cops like this too, their dad was a cop, their uncle was a cop, the whole family tree has been in the same department their whole life. So they kind of get everything handed to them, and they never go through anything hard. And those cops, to be honest, some of them could be good, but a lot of them are just, they're spoon fed, and they're kind of garbage cops, because they become very arrogant. They become very egotistical. They have to prove themselves even more because of who their dad was or who their uncle was or whatever. And all that shit really can really screw up who you are as a police officer, okay? And how you treat people on the street, So let's get into what happened with me. I was hired in 2008, and I was young. I was about 22 years old. I was a mailman prior to that. Had a lot going on in my life that when I look back at it, it was probably way more than somebody at 22 years old could really handle. I've never experienced a lot of the stress that I was going through at the first couple of years on the job. So what happens is I go into the police academy. I was dating a girl for 5 years since high school while going into the police academy. I get out of the police academy. Everything was pretty good at that point. Nothing too crazy going on. My relationship with her was kind of, rocky because, when you're in the police department or when you're in the police academy, you're always there. You don't have a lot of time for anything else. So the relationship was a little rocky at that point in time. I don't think she was very secure with me being a cop because I was young and I was actually moving forward with my life, and she really wasn't at that point. And it could create a lot of problems in that aspect. But long story short, I get out of the police academy. I go into my FTO training. And for people that don't know, that's when you're on the job. You're now out of the police academy, but you're not on your own in a police car. You have 3 months, 4 months of actual on the job training. Okay, so you go out there. You're going to rotate through certain amount of field training officers. For us, it was 3, and you start with your first, then you go to your second, your third, and then you end up back with your first. And they evaluate you to see if you're good enough to pass through that and actually be a cop. And if you don't pass that, then you're most likely either going to get extended, which a lot of departments will do because they don't really want to lose people, or you get fired. You know what I mean? So for me, FDO really wasn't hard or anything like that. Actually, it was kind of interesting because I remember vividly, like my FTO, the first one that I had, when I came back to her at the end, she was like, "Wow, you're a completely different cop." You know what I mean? Like your confidence level, how I drove the car, all those things. So I felt pretty confident. I felt good when doing the job, and that's something that, honestly, I don't think I've ever not felt. I don't think I've ever had a problem going out there and doing the job. I kind of knew what it entailed, like I talked to you about prior. We kind of understand what this job is going to be. But my personal life, man, complete mess. It became a complete mess. I had a sister, and she's a good woman now and stuff. But at the time, she was younger than me. She was dabbling in drugs, and I was raised by a single mother. So my mother's an Italian mother, and those who have an Italian mother kind of understand that they're very hard mothers. They love you to death, but they're very hard to deal with. And my sister has a very similar personality to my mother. So, I'm the only man really in the house growing up, and I'm trying to go through all this shit with learning a new job. And long story short, my sister starts dabbling in drugs, starts going down a bad road. And it really was stressing my mom out. So I had that on my shoulders to try to help my mom and my sister get through that area of life. And at the same time, it's kind of crazy because the last day I was on FTO, I get a call from, who was it? I think it was a friend of mine. I get a call from a friend of mine who was at the mall in Milford. I was home. I was still dating the same girl. I talked to her maybe 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, I don't know, before my friend calls me. I was asking her, hey, you want to get together before I have to go into work tonight, this, that, whatever. Now, that night was going to be the first night that I was in a cruiser by myself. And what happens is my boy calls me and tells me that he sees my girlfriend at the mall with another guy, basically cheating on me. And I'm like, oh, my God, dude. And now this guy that she was with was an ex-boyfriend of hers who she was with prior to me, who ended up being in jail. He was in jail. He went to jail for sexual assault. He was on parole. He got out of jail. Apparently, she started seeing him behind my back. I didn't know about it. They get caught out at the mall with this guy. My boy sees her. At that time, I'm furious. I jump in my car. I fly all the way to Milford Mall. I honestly felt like I got there in like 10 minutes, okay, from East Haven. So I get into a confrontation with them, which that could have been bad, obviously, but you're not really thinking. You're young, your girl's cheating on you, gets caught out, whatever. So I confront them on everything. She gets caught out, whatever. And long story short, that situation kind of snowballed into a bigger situation where now, understand, I'm dealing with my sister and my family. The first night that I was supposed to be in a police cruiser by myself, I catch my girlfriend cheating on me. So now I have to go to work at midnight and for the first time ever, be in a cruiser by myself, taking calls while dealing with a lot of fucking shit. After the fact, the girl that I got caught out with, she comes back to me, crying this and whatever, wanting to work things out. Me, this was a big problem for me. I always kind of like let girls come back and do that, and I would take her back, which now in my life I've learned a lot to not do that. But I take her back, whatever, and come to find out, she was still messing with the guy behind my back, even though she came back. But because I had so much going on in my life, I really wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't have the time to. So what happens is one night I go to the movies with her, and I was living with my mother at the time. I was 22, so I had to move back home during the police academy. You're not making that much money, whatever. So I'm staying at my mom's house. The guy that she was cheating on me with sees her car at my house. He breaks into my house with only my mother there. Okay, so I get a call from, I think it was my mom, screaming, this guy's forcing his way in the house, blah, 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 blah. I call the police. I call a couple of my boys. I leave them all. I rush back there. The dude flees. He's saving police is there, whatever. This guy was on parole. So they end up doing a warrant for him, right? So he basically broke into the house because he thought she was there at the house with me, blah, 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 blah. So this girl really created a massive problem for everybody. And, don't get me wrong, like we make our own decisions and stuff. So, but you're young. You don't really understand like you do when you're older. So at 22 years old, I really never dealt with stress like this, never dealt with a girl doing this shit to me, never dealt with my family being like this. A lot of things I was dealing with while trying to learn one of the most stressful, hard jobs on the planet. Okay. So anyways, I end up going back to work, whatever, they're doing doing a warrant for this guy. I end up calling the parole officer for him to kind of see what was going on with this guy. And the parole officer actually told me straight up, she goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but just so you know, they were in here together not too long ago asking questions about having a kid. So basically she was pregnant with his baby. And and I had no idea she was pregnant with his baby. They were asking questions to the parole officer because he went to jail for sexually assaulting a minor. So they wanted to know, like, can they even have a kid? Is he allowed to be around the kid? This, that, whatever. So she ends up, the parole officer kind of felt bad that I was dealing with all this shit and ended up telling me something that she wasn't really supposed to tell me. So that was good that I kind of figured that out and knew that. And once I knew that, I kind of cut everything off. I was done dealing with all that bullshit. But the problem is now this dude was going to go back to jail because he had a warrant. So he was going to violate his parole.
Yep.
And so what him and my ex do now is try to get me in trouble at the police department. All right. This isn't even what got me in trouble. So I'm kind of building up to what got me in trouble. And all the stress that brought me to the bad decision that I ended up making one night of my life that ended up really getting me in trouble. But what happens is they end up going into IA and making a complaint on me, which was a false complaint. And I ended up getting it proved that it was false. But really I'll tell you the story. It was really, man, I got really lucky because what happens is her and this guy go in, they start making false claims saying that I was harassing them, that I was trying to pull them over, that I was doing all this crazy shit that I wasn't doing. All right. There was no proof of it really. But at the time, I'm a brand new cop. I don't know how any of this shit works. I don't know how IA really works. You don't know nothing, man. As you're later down your career, you understand more, so you can deal with this shit at a different level. But when you're brand new, you're like, holy fuck, like, I'm gonna get fucking fired. You know what I mean? Like, so they go and make all these complaints about me, all false complaints. But how can I prove it? I have no way to prove that it was false. Man, I thank God, bro, because God really, to this day, bro, I look back at my life, I'm like, holy shit, man, God got me through everything. Not the way I thought, but he got me through it. Because what happens is my ex tried to get one of her friends to lie for her. So she tried to get her friend to lie and say that I was doing all those things. The friend goes into IA and ends up telling IA that my ex was trying to get her to lie, shows IA the text messages, says, listen, Jay's a good guy. He wouldn't do this stuff. He wasn't bothering her. She's the one who was creating all the problems. And I got lucky because, man, for a friend to do that, a friend of hers, let alone
not even your
to
own.
do that. Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude. So it was crazy. So luckily I got out of that. Okay. And this is where it gets fucked up, man. Like this is where the police department's really screwed up because how many times do people come in, they make false complaints about you as a cop, they try to get you fired, and it's all lies, and the police department does nothing to them. So there's no recourse. And this is where I have a problem with how IA is. I have a problem with how bosses are because they never, a lot of them are lazy. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of fucking lazy ass cops. But the big problem is they don't want to ruffle the feathers of society. They don't want to make the police department look bad to society. But listen, the problem is where's the accountability?
Yeah.
You come in, you lie, you try to get a guy fired based off of your lies, and my job should be backing me up. Yep. They should be backing you up as a cop, not just for you as a cop, but for the whole department to show society that you don't do this stuff.
Nope.
Okay. You don't come into a police department and lie and try to get a cop fired and all this shit. Because if you do, guess what? And we prove that you're lying, you're going to jail. All right? That's what should happen. But 99% of the time, it doesn't happen.
No, they just dismiss it.
They dismiss it. It's disgusting. So they dismiss it. Nothing happens to her, right? So I move on with my life, whatever. Now, I'm still dealing with all this stress because it was the first time ever that I dealt with it, man. Like I was with the girl for 5 years, this, that, whatever. I'm young. So I was kind of bummed out, kind of depressed, man. And I'm still trying to hold my head up high and do the job and learn the job while being on the street, brand new. So what happens is one night I end up, or one day actually, I'm working a road job in the morning with another cop. And this guy was in the academy with me. He was a brand new cop too, like, a buddy of mine at the time. And he asked me, he's like, hey, man, you want to go out tonight and just, go to a club, go to a bar, whatever. And I never really drank in my life. I wasn't a drinker, and to this day I don't drink. And this scenario actually really straightened me out in terms of not wanting to drink. So, I told him, I was like, listen, man, I'm really tired. I'm burnt out. I'm dealing with a lot of bullshit. To be honest, I'm supposed to work C-Spot tonight because that was the shift that I was on, midnights. So I was supposed to go back in that night after working an extra duty job. And I just told him, like, listen, dude, I'm probably more than likely going to call out sick tonight because I'm exhausted. I was mentally drained. Yeah. So I go home after the road job and I'm sleeping. And this guy calls me again, wakes me up and asks me if I want to go out. And I'm like, man, what the fuck, dude? Like, and at that point in time, my head was just all over the place. And now I'm awake and I don't really want to fucking sit home awake. So I end up making the bad decision to go out. And stupid me, at 22 years old, not thinking, I go out, I called out of work where I'm supposed to be working, and I go to the city that I work in. And I go out. Yeah, bro. I go out, and it was the night before Halloween. So it was a massive club night, massive party night. And I'm young, I'm 22. And to be honest, I used to DJ. I used to do a lot of stuff in the clubs and stuff. And I knew a lot of people out there because I grew up in the town that was right next to the city that all these clubs were in where I DJ'd and now where I worked as a cop. So I knew a lot of the people that ran the bars, ran the clubs. So I knew a lot of people out there. So long story short, I go out and I go to this bar, me and this cop, and a lot of people there that I knew, and they start feeding me drinks, right? I never really drank in my life. So this is the first night I'm really drinking. Now people are feeding you drinks, bro. Like they're not when you're not paying for them either. It's like, okay, all right. And you don't really know how it's going to affect you because you're young. You never really did this shit before. We all been there, right? So the end of the night happens. And now I'm still in the bar because I knew the guys that were running the club. The guys that were running the club at the time were promoters. They didn't own the club. They just put the parties on at the clubs. The actual owner of the club, I did not know. But I was still in the bar because I knew these guys. So the night was over, the bar was shut down, and the doors were locked. And it was just me, a couple people in there, the people that worked there, and the cop that I came with. So we're talking, whatever, and then I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then when I'm done, we'll get out of here. I go into the bathroom. I'm at the urinal. and I'm pissing, I'm drunk, whatever, and I'm pissing on the floor, right? But I'm at the urinal. I'm not like, fucking. I'll tell you the story about how the media really, really portrayed it and how they really kind of blew it out of proportion, as well as the bar owner. But what happens is now I'm pissing at the urinal. I'm missing the urinal. Now, listen, this is a club, all right? There's piss all over the floor, not mine, all over. That's what everybody fucking is doing that. Not saying it's a good thing, but you're drunk. That's what happens. You miss the fucking urinal. So now the bouncer comes in and sees that there's still somebody in there. He doesn't know that, I know new people. That's why I'm there. He thinks I'm just some drunk guy that's still in the bar after they close down. So he's starting to get really like aggressive with me. So I'm like, fuck, man, like this. And I tried telling him, like, listen, dude, I'm taking a piss. I'll be out in a minute. Like, I'm not trying to get crazy or not. Now he's like trying to big ball me, talk shit, whatever. It's about to get physical. And so I tell him, I'm like, listen, dude, I'm a cop. Like, I showed him my badge. I'm a cop, bro. And so now he kind of backs off. He goes to the front door, and there's always a cop working at the front door of these bars. That was an extra duty job for us. He goes to the front door, and he gets the cop that's working the front door. Now, this guy was a detective. I didn't know him. We knew each other by face. He knew I was a rookie cop, whatever. He comes in and starts automatically with the veteran rookie like rhetoric, right?
Yep.
Talking down to me. Yeah, bro. Like that's just like, and there are guys that listen, there's a lot of good cops that are veterans that don't treat you that way. And then there's a lot of bad ones that treat you that way just because they've been on the job for so long. And you see it in TV shows and stuff like that. And it is pretty true. So he starts talking down to me. He starts talking basically like trying to demean me. Like I don't let anybody do that in my life. And this is the first guy in the department that learned that. Okay. Basically, I told him straight up, I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck who you are. You don't fucking talk to me like this. All right. Like, I'm not dealing with your bullshit. You're not going to fucking treat me like shit, whatever. Like, I'm not even doing anything wrong here. Like, what's the problem? Yeah. So we have words, bro, like words. And I bounce, I leave, right? Like, I leave with the other cop. He drives me home. Probably an hour to 2 hours after I'm home, 2 supervisors show up at my house. So this detective basically ratted me out, called the bosses, all this bullshit. When in reality, you don't really do that. You deal with it internally. And I'm not saying that cops deserve to get away with stuff. They don't, okay? But at that point, what did I do really wrong? I called out sick. I shouldn't have been out. All right. I got into a verbal argument with a cop. Okay. At the end of the day, the reality of why this happened and why it blew up was because I talked back to a veteran cop. He felt disrespected. And so he threw me under the bus. And that's exactly what happened. All right.
Yeah.
And if he's watching this, exactly that's what happened, bro. And listen, like we squashed it down the road. You know what I mean? We squashed it down the road. He was respectful to me, throughout my career. And it is what it is. You have to let these things go. Yeah. But at the time, that's exactly what fucking happened. And you want to know what's funny? The supervisors came to my house, whatever. One supervisor was completely respectful. The other, a complete fucking asshole to me. Yeah. All right. But at the end of the day, he was also a complete fucking asshole to everybody. And he was a complete piece of shit as a supervisor. And he was not well liked by most people in the department. All right. So anyways, I don't really know what's happening now after that, right? I had to go to work the next day, or like the day. Yeah, it was the next day. I wake up, I'm like, fuck, man, like bad day, bad night, right? And when stuff like this happens, for people that don't know, it's not like, you're getting arrested right then and there, this, that, all this shit. You don't know. You're kind of in limbo, right? Yeah. So now I go back to work the next day, and now on my way to work, I was working midnights. I stopped back at the nightclub before I went into the police department because I knew that detective was working. So I went there to basically apologize and man up. Yeah. So I go there, I man up, and I'm like, listen, dude, I just want to apologize to you. That's not how I am. I never drink. Like, this is not something that is normal for me. I just wanted to come here and apologize. And he was a complete asshole to me. He was like, you know what, dude, it really doesn't matter. You're going to get what you deserve and blah, 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 and all this shit. Basically saying you're going to get, I'm going to fuck you, and that's what's going to happen. Yep. And essentially that's what happened, okay? Like, I was a rookie. You're on probation, which means that the first couple of years of your job, you have no leg to stand on top of the fact that I knew nobody in the police department. If I was another cop's son, if I was, had family in there, was friends with the chief, guess what? I would have gotten taken care of. Not that I think that that's okay, because believe me, I don't. I'm very against all that shit, and we'll get into that in later episodes, how that happens all the time. And it's actually funny because I was down here. I was at the gym the other day, and a cop from my department, his brother lives down here. He was at the gym. So it's cool because I still see people that are from Connecticut down here, because Florida's, everybody comes down here. And he told me straight up, he's like, bro, it's so bad at the department. He's like, people doing crazy things and getting away with it just because of who they know, who they're boys with, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, what's different, bro? It's been like that forever. So long story short, I had no leg to stand on. So I go back to work, whatever. Finally, the union calls me in, and they basically tell me, like, listen, they're going to try to fire you, bro. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh, shit. So now I'm in a very bad situation. And essentially what happens is they do a warrant for me. They not only do they fire me, which they do, they fire me. They also do a warrant for me. Now my face is all over the news. And you know what's crazy, bro? It's so nuts. The night I got fired, I stayed at a girl's house that night, and I'm sitting on the couch with her.
Oh, don't tell me the news.
Oh yeah, bro. The news comes on and my face is on it. And I'm like, oh fuck, man. And like they talk about everything that happened, this and that. And like she looks at me, she's like, damn, Jay. I'm like, yeah, no good, huh? No good, bro. So I'm just like, man, like I look back at all this stuff, I'm like, holy fuck, man, my life was pretty fucking crazy. So anyways, now dude, I get fired. I'm dealing with this case now. I have to hire an attorney. And for people that don't know, my relationship with my mother throughout my life was very rocky, because I was, I'm her only son. I'm the firstborn. She's a very hard fucking disciplinary mother. And now I'm living back home because I had no job. Okay. So I'm living back home. I'm dealing with this case. I'm dealing with everybody fucking my face everywhere, all over the news and newspapers. I'm sleeping one morning at 7 a.m, and this is how my mom was my whole life. And I love her to death. Don't get me wrong. She's a great woman, and we overcame a lot together. But during my childhood, man, and my young years, bro, she put me through some fucking shit. So I'm sleeping in bed. Obviously, I got a lot of shit going on in my life. I'm exhausted. And at 7 a.m, she like wakes me up. And this is how my mom was, bro. She wanted things done when she wanted them done. There's no saying no to her, bro. She wakes me up. She's like, get up. I need you to help me hang a mirror at 7 a.m. I'm like, dude, can you wait till I wake up? You know what I mean? Like, no, of course not. Right.
Nope.
So now I get up. I'm all pissed off, like trying to hang this fucking mirror with her. And it turns into an argument like normal, like it always did.
Yeah.
Argument starts to get escalated even more, this and that, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in a bad situation as it is. I can't fucking get in any more trouble. So I'm getting out of the house. I'm leaving, bro. So I had a gun in the house. So I grabbed my gun. She sees me grab my gun. I took the gun with me because I wasn't leaving it unsecured in the house with her. So I took it with me. She calls the police on me.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah, bro. Calls the police on me. Tells the police, because this is how my mother was. My mother.
I thought you were suicidal.
She's just vindictive, man. A lot of women are like this. No offense to women, but they get very vindictive. When you come at them or you're in an argument with them, whatever, they want to fucking destroy you. And listen, we know this as cops. How many calls have you went to, bro, where you see women do this to men? And don't get me wrong, men are assholes too. So I'm not bashing women here. But this is how, when emotions are high, people, no matter how much they love each other, when the emotions are high in the moment, they want to fucking fuck each other up.
Yep.
So she basically calls the cops, tells the cops, like, he's got a gun. I don't know what he's going to do with it, blah, 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 blah. He said he was going to kill himself. I never said any shit like that, bro. You know what I mean? So cops fly there. They fucking seize the gun. And as you know, one way to get around arresting somebody, if there's really no need for it, is to send them to the hospital, get them evaluated if that claim of I'm going to kill myself was said. And obviously, even though I told them I never said that, they have to take it serious because of liability reasons. And and there's two ways, right? They can paper you and force you to go, or if you're willing, you just go. And because I knew the situation, I said, all right, I'll just fucking go, because I knew I was going to be out of there in no time. I get sent to the hospital. I get evaluated. Clearly, I wasn't suicidal or any of that shit. And I get released like literally within like 2 hours. So I have a cop meet me back at the house to do a preventive breach. I pick up all my shit. And my mother, I basically just go move in with a couple buddies, and now I'm dealing with 2 cases. Because, actually, let me get to it, how I got the second case. The first case obviously was arrested by the police department, my police department, for the incident at the bar. Second case, as I'm leaving my mother, the next day, actually, after they released me from the police department or the hospital for the evaluation, I end up staying at a girl's house that night. The next morning, I'm driving down North High Street in East Haven. I get pulled over by East Haven police.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? Yo, the cop, I could tell the cop felt so fucking bad too, bro, because he knew that I was getting fucked. Bro, now mind you, this happened like in maybe early morning, maybe like noonish, around like when the cops actually came there and everything and sent me to the hospital and stuff the day prior. Bro, they must have walked a warrant down to like, they must have expedited a warrant for me. Because you know that warrants don't go that fast for something that low level.
No.
So they knew who I was, and the chief at the time, Lenny Gallo, and I'll say his fucking name.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit. Okay. Not to mention we caught that dude out many times in New Haven picking up prostitutes. Okay. And I'll call out all these motherfuckers, and this is what I mean. Chiefs are shitbags. Okay. He was picking up prostitutes and shit, and had the nerve to treat me like a scumbag on this day. They expedite a warrant for me. Literally must have walked that thing fucking through within hours, which is unheard of for something so low level. And they transport me to the East Haven Police Department, and this guy, Lenny Gallo, comes in to detention where I'm sitting there, and he starts trying to big ball me. Trying to basically like talk down to me. Like I said, all these fucking pieces of shit that are above you in these police departments do to you. All right. Meanwhile,
which is very uncommon for a chief to even go down and do that, in my opinion.
Very uncommon. I've never seen it. And I've worked in the detention centers many times.
Yep.
So he comes in, starts basically saying, I could have made you a good cop and this and that. What are you talking about, dude? I don't even work for you, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't even know you. I've never met you in my life. Like, this is how egotistical these guys are. And this is why they are bad leaders, all right? Bad leaders. And go look up that guy, bro, because he's done a lot of fucking bad shit. He got exposed so much down the road. It was funny, actually, because not after I came back from my suspensions and all this stuff, and it was a cop again, I had to go to a call at Anthony's Ocean View for like a massive fight and shit. And he was there, and he was involved in it and stuff. And me and my partner, you know who my partner was?
Yep.
We go there, and this dude's trying to dictate the whole call. I literally looked at him and said, bro, shut your mouth. Go over there. This is my fucking call. You know what I mean? And he got all pissed. He tried making complaints and shit. Bro, who the fuck are you, dude? You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is my city. I'm working. I'm in uniform. You're involved in this incident. Keep your fucking mouth shut. I don't care if you're a chief or not, okay?
Yeah.
And this is why I had problems in the police department, because I don't care who you are. I only care if you're a good person or you're a shit person. And that's how I'm going to dictate how I deal with you. On top of the fact that, and here's the deal, if you are a shit chief and you're a scumbag, that's fine. If you at least still treat me with respect and talk to me with respect, and you are a shitbag and I know you're a shitbag, I'm still going to be respectful to you, because that's part of the job. It's chain of command. You're not doing anything bad to me. Even if I don't like you and I don't think that you're a good chief, if you talk to me with respect and you treat me with respect, you're going to get the best out of me. Okay. But if you talk down to me and you start treating me like shit, you're going to know to your face that I have a problem with it.
Yep.
And this is why I had a lot of problems in the police department. Okay. Not because I was doing a lot of bad things. So anyways, that's really the beginning of what happened with me in terms of what carried on throughout my entire career. So I had 2 cases I was dealing with: a domestic with my mother and the police department case, which it was even, they charged me in the police department with breach of peace and disorderly conduct, which is also very rare to do. Okay, how do you charge with both? Really, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
it's one or the other, really. And they charged me with interfering with police, which was ridiculous, because I was like, why did you charge me with that? And they said in the report, They said I tried to lie about my name. Okay. My last name is Bandy. You can go Google me. Everybody Google me. You'll look and see how the media destroyed me, how they lied about a ton of shit. Because what happened was this guy basically said that I tried to lie about my name and say that my name was Jay Mandy with an M. My name is Jay Bandy. Okay. The fact that the prosecutors even signed off on that charge shows you how corrupt they are. Because what happens is this: when a cop gets in trouble, if you think that there's a brotherhood, if you think that the police department, that the court systems are going to take care of that cop, fuck no, unless that cop is somebody connected. That's it. Otherwise, they are looking to destroy you worse than they are a citizen, okay? Because the reality is you don't charge somebody for interfering because they said their name was Jay. My name's Jay Bandy, and you're claiming my name was Jay Mandy with an M. Maybe you misheard me because it's only one letter that's off there, you dumbass. Yeah. So this is the dumb shit I had to deal with. So I had to go through the court system, whatever. I beat both cases, okay? I did everything I had to do, and actually the prosecutor of the case that the police department charged me with, that dude was a piece of garbage, bro. Garbage. He was trying to ruin. He hates cops. This guy, all right. I'll just say his first name is Dave. Anybody who knows the court system, you probably know who I'm talking about. But he's a piece of shit. He's an arrogant asshole. He was trying to basically screw me over so that I couldn't come back to getting my job back. And unfortunately for him, I beat the case. I beat him, and I got my job back. Later down the road, I'll tell you the story how he tried to fuck me years later, because this is what these people do. If you beat them, if you show you're not scared of them, they have nothing more than their power. Okay, they're not strong men. They're not big bad dudes. No. All right, they're not even real men. They're pussies. A lot of them. They're a lot of insecure nerds, all clowns. All right, that unfortunately got good jobs, and that is what they use to be higher than people and beat people that they don't like. All right,
bullies.
That's exactly what happens. All right. So long story short, I got through it, man, and I beat the cases, and I had to go up and to the labor board and stuff, and they overturned my firing into a suspension. So I came back to the police department after a year and a half suspended, no pay, and massive karma, bro. Massive karma, man. But when I look back at it, very important part of my life, taught me a lot, and I will never, ever, ever change it. And this podcast is going to explain to you guys why I say this, okay? Why this was such an important part of my life and actually built me into the man that I am today, built me into a better cop. And really, I wouldn't change it for anything, man. I really wouldn't, even though it brought a lot of hardships along the way as well. It brought so much support as well. There's a lot of positives that came with it too, that you just don't really see until after you're out of the police department. Okay. Yeah. So this was a story of what happened to me. And basically, if you Google the story or you Google my name or whatever, it's funny because all the bad articles will come up first. But if you keep going, you'll see all the good stuff that I did as a cop, saving people from fires, saving a dog that people tried killing in a porta potty and left in there. And I got it adopted and raised money for it, and all the things that I did as a cop, the good things. Okay.
Doesn't matter though.
No, it doesn't. But but the media tried to lie a lot. They said that I pissed all over the bar, that I threw trash, that I did all the stuff that I didn't do. And it's just like, whatever. You have no leg to stand on, because we talked about general orders. And the fact of the matter with the general orders is they create rules in the police department where you can't defend yourself as a cop. Basically, if I go on social media, if I go outside of the police department and I start to speak up, they can fucking fire me for it. They can discipline me for it, because there's rules that say that you don't basically go out and tell anybody anything about what's going on in the police department. Yep. And it's like, and they do that to protect the top and to protect the people that they want to protect and fuck the people that they want to fuck. And that's what would happen. So during my career, even though I was very outspoken and the people close to me knew that I was getting fucked and what really was going on, and the people inside the police department, the people on the outside, society, has no clue that this really wasn't the true story. So the media, they can write anything, okay? They can lie, they can do anything they want, and you have no recourse. You can't sue them. You can't go online and say, oh, this is all fucking lies. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing. You just have to sit there and bite your tongue. And it's sad. It's sad because So many cops this happens to.
Yep.
So yeah, man, long story short, I got through it. And, I'll tell you one last story before we get into your story. The first day I came back and I was on the street, I'm in the cruiser and I'm like, all right, I got to do some work. I got to start getting back in the mode of it, whatever. Pull a car over. And, I walk up, whatever, I do my thing, get the information. And I was never one to fuck people on the job, man. I just don't believe in it. I really didn't even like pulling cars over. You have to really kind of do something stupid for me to pull you over. But at the end of the day, this is how I tell people. I'm like, listen, if you're respectful to me and you're honest, you're never getting a ticket. I'm never giving you a ticket. I don't care what, unless I'm really, really forced to, like you committed a felony, you hit a person or something like that. But if it was a minor motor vehicle violation, whatever, something like nothing crazy, but you're honest, like what I would do is I walk up to the car. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? If they said, yes, sir, they apologize, blah, 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 whatever, no ticket. If they don't know why, but they're still respectful and honest and, they just don't understand why, you're still not getting a ticket, all right? Because you were honest with me, all right? But if you start arguing, you want to make this a whole big scene, you want to be a pain in the ass, you're getting a ticket because I know I don't even want to pull you over. I wasn't a cop that liked pulling people over because I don't believe in taking money from people and stuff like that and tickets. It's not fair. Society gets fucked as it is with taxes and all this other shit. Taking money out of people's pockets, I don't believe in. So that's how I was as a cop. I didn't believe in giving tickets, okay? Did I? Yes, of course. But what was it something that I always did? No. If I could avoid it, I would. So this specific situation, this is the first time I was back on the street after my suspension. I pulled his car over. I do my whole thing. Dude was respectful. I walk back up, no ticket. He looks at me and he goes, hey, man, I just want to tell you, bro, everybody wants you to fail out here. He's like, don't let them get what they want, bro. And like I looked at him, I was like, holy shit. Like he knew who I was. He knew that I just went through all this shit because like my face was plastered everywhere. So he knew that I was the cop that got in trouble and all this shit and blah, 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 blah. And now he's getting pulled over by me. And I think that scenario of me being a human to him and not coming back on the job and being like vindictive and like, I'm going to fuck everybody now because I got fucked. He saw that. He saw like, hey, man, this dude had the chance to fuck me and give me a ticket and this and that after everything that just happened to him. And he didn't do it. And I think that struck him, in a positive way. And he said that to me and I remember that to this day. So that was, man, for that to be the first car I pull over and somebody say that to you, bro, after you went through all that shit, man, like kind of just weird and crazy. And, but I think that it was a sign. I think it was a sign to tell me like, just keep doing what you do, bro. Just keep being yourself. And that to me was what got me through the police department, being myself. It also made a lot of problems because being myself, a lot of people didn't like, a lot of people in power didn't like. But it made me the best cop and the best person and got me the most support that ultimately and got me to beat all these people. And that's what we'll get to down the road is how I beat them, how I beat police chiefs, how I beat mayors, how I beat all these people, how I got this citizen support and cop support and basically all the shitty people, they lost, bro. They always lost to me. It was just how it went. But a lot of it was because I took control. I didn't let other people take control. So that's the beginning of my career, man. My career was a roller coaster, and there's a lot more stories, good and bad, a lot more craziness that we're going to talk about. But that was the first 2 years of my career, man. It was fucking horrible.
Crazy.
Horrible. But I'll never change it. It was great for my growth and who I became as a man. And all these terrible, bad situations in your life, if you choose to look at them in a way where you can grow yourself, it will happen, man. And I'm proof of that. So, we got a little time left. These podcasts aren't going to last super, super long. We're not going to keep people all night. This is the first episode. So we'll get into Anthony's story. He'll tell you what happened with him and why we're both doing this podcast, because we both have similar stories and similar situations with dealing with our police departments and the corruption and the bad leadership and getting fucked over and all this. So Anthony, man, go ahead. Tell us what happened, bro.
So I started my job. I got hired as a dispatcher, and I enjoyed that. Made a lot of money. I learned a lot about how much more mature I was than most people that were my age. Basically, just got really tired of just sitting in the room. I like I got tired of hearing the action on the radio. I wanted to be in on the action. Never thought I would never had aspirations to be a cop. I mean, my great grandfather was a cop. My uncle was a cop, but just wasn't for me till I got in that dispatch seat. And then I got hired, went to the academy actually almost around the same time Jay did. But, I was up at the state police complex where local cops went too. And personally, I think it was an absolute joke. I thought it was more like a high school kind of hangout thing. I mean, I did learn a lot. I really took to some senior training officers that were there that actually one of them was from NYPD. And I think he's still up there to this day. Super nice guy. But anyways, I learned a lot about law enforcement, but I never learned about the internal politics. Now, that being said, I did already kind of understand some internal politics being a dispatcher because I got hired by the same damn police department. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother thing. But anyways, so I was kind of aware of it, but I didn't really pay too much of attention to it because I was a civilian at the time. You go through the academy, you get out. Pretty much everybody told me anything you learned in the academy, throw it out, start all over fresh when you get on the road. Unlike Jay, where you worked, you were in a city. I was kind of in more of a small town. I mean, now it's pretty good sized town. It should be a city, but they don't call it a city. But did the same thing, went through the field training office or field training program. The nice thing was a lot of the FTOs that I had, I was somewhat friendly with. So it made it a little bit easier, but it was also the town where I worked. So a lot of kids I grew up with turned into shitbags because of drugs. I mean, heroin was like rampant in the town at that time.
You grew up in that town too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's even harder, man.
Yeah. Yep. Sure. So everybody kind of knew who I was, but it was nice because my family both families have been in the town the whole time, but my mom's side of the family is very well known in the town from owning a family business since like the 1930s. So I didn't have the same last name, so nobody really kind of put two and two together in the beginning. But anyways, I went through my whole thing where I started my fatal mistake for the job. And I just want to kind of add in there that, I'm Jay's right down the same pipe as me. I'm not doing this podcast because I'm angry and pissed off at my police department or other police departments or other cops I worked with. I worked with a ton of shitbags too. But I'm doing this podcast because, and I actually approached Jay about it. And I just feel that like there's so many good cops that get fucked from one bad decision, whether it truly they did it or it was an allegation that fucked them. So for me, I just feel like there's guys and girls that like, I know are going through or have gone through the same shit we both went through and are like, fuck, what do I do? Or they're in the moment now and they're like, what do I do? Because everybody's telling you, do this. You're trying to listen. Do I do this? Do I do this? And, the union's supposed to be there to protect you, but the union kind of just does their own fucking thing, even though they're telling you one thing in this year, but doing something in the other side. So anyways, so I got involved with one of the females I worked with, very kind woman. We ended up getting engaged. We got married. We were probably together. I don't even know. It was coming up on like 10 years, but we had some indifferences. There was a lot of, she, was very friendly with a lot of people, and I'm not calling her a hoe or anything like that. But, at times, I was also younger than her, so that didn't help. I was definitely, I'll admit, I was immature, but, there was a lot of guys from the department, that would be texting her, and, she had, at the time, had a crazy ex-husband, which actually I see him quite often now. We talk, have had coffee together and shit.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The irony,
Yeah, you're not kidding. So anyways, I ended up filing for divorce just because of, money differences and just we grew apart like big time from each other. Yeah. So the day of my incident, it was 5 days before Christmas. I'll never forget it. I was already almost a year into my divorce. And I was going to my police department because I was heavily involved with the PBA, and we were doing a meet and greet with Santa Claus for the kids. I didn't have any kids, but I just I took a liking to it. So we're getting all the Christmas presents ready and everything, and I walk in the door, and one of the lieutenants comes up to me, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, you got to hang tight here for a little bit." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I got to get going. I got to get over to where they were having the meet and greet." And she's like, "Yeah, you can't go. You got to stay here." I'm like, well, "What are you ordering me in?" kind of thing. And I was working in traffic at the time. So traffic guys never got ordered in. So I'm like, that's weird. But I was on the SWAT team. So maybe they were going to call. I don't know what the hell was going on. So I go back in the office, and she comes back in, and her eyes are full of tears. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, it still freaks me out to this day. And she's like, she goes, something happened with, and it was my girl's name, my wife's name at the time. And, and I'm like, what? I'm like, and I know that she, you know, it had just snowed. So I'm like, did she go for a walk with the dog? Did she get hit by a car? And I don't know what made me say this, but I'm like, did she kill herself? Because I know, like, you know, divorce takes its toll on people. I'm like, did I, you know, like, I felt really like, I felt like a piece of shit doing it because, you know, till death do you part, but I just couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
So, she's like, oh my God, no. And I'm like, what? Like, what the, she's like, and then she said, you know, we're at the town I lived in, that PD was coming to talk to me. And as soon as she said that, I was like, huh. So I sat in my office, my partner at the time, I called, they wouldn't let me use my phone. You know, they took my gun away and all that crap. So I knew right then and there was they were going to do something with the domestic. So I told my partner, like I told the lieutenant to get my partner in here. So he comes in, love this dude to death. Never would hurt a fly. I mean, like we talk, I don't want to say every day still, but we talk quite a few times during the week. Just went golfing with him, you know, so we're tight still. So he comes in and I tell him what's going on, even though I didn't know what was going on. So come to find out, the sergeant that shows up from the other PD is one of my old beat partners from my department. He had transferred to that PD, so it made it mad uncomfortable. But listen, I was an observing cop. I saw he had the PTA book in his, the promise to appear book in his hand, the victim rights form, and some other, I don't even remember what the hell any of that shit's called even anymore. But so he's like, all right, we're gonna get a statement from you. I'm like, statement for what? And he's like, well, your wife's alleging that, you put your hands on her and, she has marks on her. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, listen, I got nothing to say. And I'm like, other than I didn't do anything wrong. So, he wants a statement. Well, I'm not giving him a statement. So anyways, long and short of the story, they end up bagging me and they arrest me for disorderly conduct and assault 3. So
now, just to back up a little bit, because I'm sure people are gonna wonder while they're listening. Was there an incident?
So here's the deal. So my ex-sister-in-law's husband is also a cop in another state, but he owns a dojo. So he does a lot of it's not jiu-jitsu. I forgot what it's called, but anyways, so we always fucked around with him and yada. And I'm going to be honest with you. My wife at the time was very atypical, didn't look like a dude, but definitely could be a dude. Like she definitely, I had her back. She had, I would want her to back me up on the street more than I would. You actually worked with her brother, but won't say his name. Just like a badass. She was a badass. So, and when I married her brothers told me we'll fucking kill you if you touch her. So and I was younger than her. So I had respect, right? That's just me. So, and it's funny because there's another lieutenant from that department, another female, my old department. And she when after, I found out that the PD was coming to arrest me. She's like, I know you didn't do this. She's like, don't take this the wrong way. But she's like, you're not a pussy, but your wife would have fucking broke your eye sockets if you put your hands on her. And I'm like, thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. This is bullshit. So we were fucking around and it was weird because as soon as I filed for divorce within the first 2 months, our relationship just got so much better. It was weird. It was just
the that happens.
Thing ever.
Not uncommon. Sometimes you just need a little time apart, or you guys kind of realize man, I don't want this, or things start just going on in people's heads.
So we always fucked around wrestling or whatever. We put each other in moves or whatever, and arm bars. Or
so you guys were still seeing each other after the divorce?
Yeah, my attorney was like, "Don't move out," and I'm like, "Well, I want to move out. There's no reason for me to be there." And excuse me, she was like, "Don't do it. You're abandoning your property. Blah blah blah. But don't get in trouble." Okay.
Yeah, well, but that attorney that was probably bad advice.
Yeah, we were living in the same house but separately, right? It's different rooms and all that shit. And at the time of the incident, I mean, she was never home. But I was the type of guy where I was like, whatever, it's not my business. I'm respectful. I wasn't fucking around, seeing other girls, even though we were still living together, even though we were already technically separated. But so we were fucking around that morning in the living room. So she ends up telling the police department that I tried to choke her. So clearly I didn't, because if I did, they would have charged me with that. And then I forgot what the hell else she said. she had said there was an incident like a few days before, the same type of thing where we were fucking around. Well, apparently, in my opinion, or in her opinion, it wasn't fucking around. I was assaulting her. So the problem is as soon as I left to go to my department that day, she was friends with this cop from that town, a female who also used to work at your department, who also used to fuck around with her brother from your department.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So anyways, so I didn't know any of this was going on. And about 2 days before the incident, I had lost all camera feed at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, because this female cop was coming over there to talk to my wife. So the whole thing was set up because about a month before I got arrested, she started asking me, when you moving out, when you moving out, when you moving out.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a dude from my department that I had become really friendly with who had transferred from another city further north in Connecticut. And we I don't know, we just hit it off. He was a cool dude, he covered in tattoos and everything. I got along with him really well. We pulled over cars together. We would do like little things together and shit. He was in patrol. I was in traffic. Well, one day I had noticed before the arrest thing, he was in her office because she was in a specialized unit too. So, and I'm a real good, like when my gut is telling me something, it's going on. So I walked by the office and I saw him. And again, we were already legally separated, so whatever. But he was in this chair and he sees me as I'm walking by, look in, and he just he pops up and just sits like a fucking robot in the chair. It was just the weirdest thing ever. So I told my partner, keep an eye on them. I think there's something fucking going on. Yeah. Whatever. Shouldn't have mattered anyways. But so come to find out, he was anything I was telling him was going right back to her.
Shady ass dudes, bro.
Yep. So now his wife gets arrested like a week. I think it was a week before mine.
So he was married. He was married too?
Yes. Right.
Now, guys, this is what happens in police departments.
Don't marry coworkers,
bro. It is a disaster. Everybody's fucking each other. Everybody's fucking each other over. It's a complete mess.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyways, we go through the whole arrest thing. I hire very well known attorney out of New Haven. I'm going to be honest with you. I was fucking scared shitless. Of course. Guess where I went? Back home with my mom. My parents were divorced. My mom, Italian, old school, but super cool. We always jived very well. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching like myself and my life flash in front of me. So I'm trying to, get an attorney, blah 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 blah. Because that was a Sunday, so I had to go to court the next day. And the problem is, we weren't using the court where my department went to. We were using New Haven court. So, why
was that?
Because of where I lived, that must have been their jurisdiction.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had no suit. I had no nothing. And this is all during COVID because it was 2020. So I fly up to a Kohl's, I get a whole suit because I'm like, he's like, dude, you need to be dressed.
Yeah.
So I go to New Haven the next day and I'm standing in line and let me tell you something. I was so fucking embarrassed, right? Here I am. This is where I send people that I arrest. Now I'm standing there. 4 people in front of me is a dude I had just arrested 2 days earlier.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Thank God he didn't recognize me with the mask. So, anyways, we go into court and I'm getting yelled and screamed at because everything's on video. I don't even know who's saying what because their masks are covered. And I just was like, I went from, I don't even know how old I was. I was 30. What is this? I was like, I don't even know, 33, 34 years old, something like that. I felt like I was like 14 getting yelled at school because I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. So long and short of the story is they make me go. She produces pictures like, I don't know how many days later that there was marks, but it's like, why didn't you do those? That's all. That could be a whole nother episode, the way this department handles this whole fucking thing. But anyways, so the charges get dismissed. And the only thing they made me do was I had to go to a domestic violence thing. And I will tell you,
I did that.
I was, we did the same job, but we're 2 different people. Clearly, not one person is alike with another. I was in that class and I was for the first 4 weeks, I was so fucking angry. I didn't say a word because I was like, I'm getting railroaded. So I'm in that class. And then come to find out, I had gone, this is here we go. How shit gets corrupt now. Okay. And again, nothing against females. I go to my department when she's not working. I called and made sure she wasn't there because there was an order in place. And I went inside and there was a lieutenant on the desk that I was very friendly with, super good dude. He rose his way through the ranks the right way. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have, been where he was, but once he got there, he actually did his fucking job and made fucking decisions, unlike
That
most
matters.
supervisors. So he lets me in the building and I said, hey, listen, I want to go down to my office. And he's like, just go. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I know my partner was working my now ex-partner was working. I'm waiting for him to come bring me down there. He's like, dude, you don't need to. I said, I'm gonna. So my buddy comes and gets me. We go down there and I get like all my shit out of my desk and stuff. And that I don't remember what day it was, but a couple of days later, my I don't even know what the fuck he was at the time, lieutenant, captain, I can't remember. He calls me and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, can I meet you? And I'm like, yeah, why? What's up? And he's like, I just got to talk to you. I'm like, well, just talk over the phone. He's like, no, I got to talk to you in person. So
yeah, you know what that means.
yeah. So I meet him at our family business and, he comes out, gets out of the car. He's got a letter in his hand. I said, what's this? And he goes, oh, it's from the chief. He's wants you to know that you're no longer allowed on such and so police department property, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why, what's up? And he's like, well, you were there the other day. And I'm like, oh, so because one of her buddies saw me there and then was a little rat fucking, trying to get in her pants and went to her and blah, blah, blah. So long and short of the story is.
And that's exactly what happens is there's these dudes. Listen, we already know this is police stuff, but in general in life, dudes are bitches. Okay. Dudes are bitches. So when they are trying to get pussy or dudes will do anything. They'll fuck you over. They'll lie. They'll talk shit about you.
I think they're worse than the females.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. To be honest, they are. Yeah. So it's funny because females used to always, I was never one to do that to dudes. And females would tell me all the time when dudes were doing that to me. They'll tell you, bro. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
Dudes are clowns, bro.
So I'm, no longer allowed at the police department. And then a week later, he calls me again. He's got another letter. And he hands me a letter. And he says, you got to come in on such date. You're going to sit with the union. You got to meet with the chief. So I go in there. My hands are sweating just telling the fucking story. I'm sitting there upstairs in the chief's hallway. And union guy comes in. And that's a whole nother fucking story too. But anyways, so he comes in, he's like, all right, we're going to go up, we're going to go in there. I said, you know what this is about? He's like, yeah, he goes, they're going to explain it to you and then we'll talk and blah, blah, blah. So basically what happened is they decided to now suspend me without pay. So I was out on administrative suspension with pay. Right. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, I had people calling me, telling me, cause they had just opened up our tattoo policy so we can get like tattoos and shit. And I always wanted to do that. So one of the lieutenants, I was told by one of my coworkers that he was motherfucking me because, they're paying this kid to be out of work and he's spending the money on tattoos. First of all, fuck you. What does it matter what I'm spending my money on? It's my fucking salary. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And second of all, who the fuck are you to even like talk about that? It has nothing to do with it. And not for nothing. At the time, this is the lieutenant who said, this was my boss. He never called me to check on me. Nothing. Right.
Yep.
Whatever. So they suspend me administrative. But here's the thing. I'm sitting in that meeting with the chief. They gave me a letter and it basically said, sign this agreement right now. We'll suspend you with no pay. We will hold your job pending the police investigation. Mm-hmm. And then depending where that goes, then you come back to work. However, if you don't sign it, we're going to immediately terminate you right at this right here, right now. And that was my decision. I sat there. Now my life really flashed in front of me. I looked at the union guy. And again, I mean, I was a 30-something-year-old guy, but listen, Jay, you went through shit really fucking quick in your career at a very early age, right? I was well into my career when I went through this shit. I was like, this is it. I'm done. Like, and at the moment I was trying to not make it like I'm just a cop. No, I'm Anthony Bauer. Like that's who I am. But I need this job to fucking survive. Yeah. Like, dude, I put a lot of time into this thing.
Yeah.
So I signed the fucking thing like an asshole. So I was out of work 6 months suspension, no pay
Mhm.
whatsoever.
Mhm.
I filed for unemployment. The police department fought it, right? So I had to get an attorney. I ended up getting unemployment. I mean, you got to do something. I went from
Yeah,
working
fuck yeah.
fucking 80, 90
I did
hours a
it
week
too.
down to nothing,
I did
right?
it too. Yep. Yep.
So anyway, so the whole thing gets dropped. So I go back to work. Now I'm removed from my specialized unit because they didn't want me next to her office. There's no more protective order. Everything's clear. The whole case was thrown out. And they put me back as a fuck you on midnights. So I'm on midnights. I keep my mouth shut. I don't say a fucking word. I'm not happy about it, but I'm very grateful to, like, when I opened that locker again, I was like,
Yeah.
thank God. Because
Right.
it's not me. Like, I'm not the cop. I am Anthony, but I am a cop for a living, for my job.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I love that job. I miss it every day to this day. So
Yeah,
anyways,
even me. Yeah.
yeah. So I worked my way back up, and they had me on what's called a last chance agreement. So there was like three policy. There's those general orders, policy violations, whatever you want
Yep.
to call them.
I had
And
that too. I had a last
yeah,
chance agreement.
yeah.
When I came back, I had a last chance agreement for a year. So no, it was, I think it was a year and a half on top of, yeah. So I did a year and a half suspension, came back, and then I was on a year and a half
Yeah.
last chance agreement, where basically they can fire you for anything.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I mean, so I was on that, and then the bid shift came out. So I bid days, and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." And I'm like, "The fuck, I can't." Where does it say that in the general order? You can't bid. I said, "There's no protective order.
Well, they would
That's
have
not
to
my
put you
problem.
somewhere.
She works days." So I went to the union, and finally the union like put their foot down and was like, "Hey, you can't do that to this guy. He's got to let him work days. Bad enough you already fucked him, and he's out of his unit that I put all my heart and soul into." So
Mhm.
I did patrol for I did like about 18 months. And you know what was really getting to me was the domestics. And I literally was like, I was going to domestics, and I was like, you know what? Nah, fuck you. This guy is not getting fucked just because some
Yeah,
girl said
bro.
something. There's no marks, there's no proof. So at the time, that's when Connecticut was doing the you might have already been retired, but that was when they were doing the dominant
Yeah.
aggressor shit.
Who's more aggressive? Yeah.
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 Well,
Mhm.
I wasn't there. Who the fuck, listen, aside from
It's
if
still
the
it's still
guy
gonna
or
be
the girl.
word for word. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was arresting both of them. I didn't
Mhm.
care, right? And I was doing that. Well, I wasn't in patrol of it before, but so I was getting pulled inside by bosses saying, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And one of them was a female. And I looked at her and I says, "You know what, Lieutenant? With all due respect, till you walk a day in the shoes that I just walked in, you got no comment. I know you're a boss. I don't respect you. I'll respect your position, but
Mhm.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If the prosecutor has a problem, have him call me. Better yet, read
Yeah.
my fucking police report, because that'll tell you why I did what
Yeah,
I did and
bro.
how I did it."
Yeah.
So I just was
100%.
like, I can't do this anymore. I didn't like being under the chief wouldn't remove the last chance agreement. And the funny thing is that was now when I started my whole bullshit. I had three chiefs in my tenure there. The second chief is the only reason I kept my job, because he knew damn well that it didn't happen. He believed me because he knew my wife was
That's good.
fucking
That's good
trauma
then.
filled.
Yeah, that's a good chief.
But he retired. And then the next guy that came up, who I was fucking tight with when I was a dispatcher, all the way through patrol, he was a solid dude, had your back all the way up to patrol lieutenant. And then once he got promoted up to that fucking third floor,
Yep.
and I'm not just saying that because I went through what I went through. I
Right.
saw it
Yeah,
before it
bro.
even fucking happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, fuck this place. I'm not doing this. I went to the town hall. I had, went to my accountant. They looked at all my numbers, and I'm like, listen, where I'm going to be, because when I was in traffic, all my overtime was going to my pension, all of it.
Mhm.
When I went to
Mhm.
patrol, it wasn't. And I'm like, you know what? For what I'm going to gain for a couple
But
more
why was
years.
that?
What's that?
Why was that? Why was it different? Why
When
was
you're
your overtime? Yeah. Why? I mean, for me, for our pension, everything, all our overtime, all our extra duty went
yeah,
to our pension.
the only in special services, your overtime goes to your pension. But when you're in patrol, the only overtime that goes to your pension is department overtime. So like if I got held over on a shift when I was in patrol,
Yeah.
that goes
Yeah.
to your pension. But
Yeah.
any like road jobs or like special
Oh,
details, none of that
yeah,
goes.
like extra duty
Yeah.
stuff. But even if
Yep.
it was like let's say you had a parade, you had something like
No.
that, and it was over.
Nope.
Really,
No.
it had to
Oh
be
wait.
just patrol.
No, the parades counted, I think. But like, say
Yeah.
if I worked at like the school basketball or
Okay.
football game, nope,
Right.
it didn't
Really,
count. So
really.
my accountant's like, you do what you want to do for what he was projecting my pension to be at if I
Yeah.
stayed a couple more years to get, because
Yeah.
my department wanted 22 years. I only did
Mhm.
19.
Mhm.
So I just was like, fuck this, it ain't worth it. And I fucking retired. And it was like, you know what? It was the weirdest thing ever, because it was like when I walked out the door, I was happy, but I was fucking pissed off that I just did what I did. But I look back now, and I got to be honest with you, that whole incident sucked, but it made me grow into the person I'm with. I mean, if you talk to my fiance, her son, they're like, that's not me. That's not who I am. You know what I mean? I was immature when all that shit went down, but it doesn't mean I touched my fucking wife. No fucking way. The roles were actually reversed, but I came from a family where you deal with your own shit. You don't bring it into other people's shit. And I'll give you one more crazy thing. I'm still super tight with her fucking sister.
Wow, that's interesting.
So if that doesn't portray, and she's very tight with my fiance. So if that doesn't say I didn't fucking do it, then what the fuck does it? You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, bro, like you got through it, right? You got the pension, you got what you worked for. It sucked. You had to deal with a lot of bullshit, but it opened your eyes to a lot.
Yeah.
It grew you. It made you stronger. It made you a better cop. Just like we talked about in the beginning of this episode, that all these things will build you into a better cop as long as you do it the right way, as long as you understand, as long as you tread the water the way you need to.
Yep.
And you don't listen. And we'll get into this later in later episodes. There's cops that never learn their lessons, bro.
No.
I've seen them all that are just constantly getting in trouble. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if they have people that clean it up for them, or if they don't, bro. They're just constantly. Yeah. And the department that I was in, big city in Connecticut. Yep. And one day I'll tell you guys what department I worked in. You can Google it, you'll see. All right. You know what? Fuck it. I worked in New Haven, Connecticut. All right. And I can say that because I'm not going to name the names of people that work there and stuff, but I will say that is where I worked. I worked in New Haven, Connecticut. It's a very violent city. It's a very politically corrupt city. Yale University is there. So you can all imagine the nonsense that goes on there. But the internals, the department, the inside shit that goes on, man, is so mind-blowing that the stories we're going to tell you guys, you're going to be like, wow, that really happened? That really happened? I mean, listen, I have stories for days, so these episodes, this is going to be a long series, guys, because there's so much we could talk about, as long as when we start to bring on other people within other departments, and hopefully we talk to people throughout the country, because now I'm in South Florida. I cut hair, I meet a lot of people. I actually cut one guy who is a cop down here in a specific department in South Florida who's getting fucked so bad. And this guy is a special forces military guy, like hardcore dude, good cop, good dude, and is getting fucked so bad by his chief, man, so bad. And we vibe because guys like us that go through this stuff, we understand, and at the same time, too, it's always the guys that actually did the job, and the guys that are trying to fuck you never did the job, right? And a lot of that is that vindictiveness, right? Like you had that one guy who was like, "Oh, why is this fucking guy getting tattoos?" Blah blah blah. Dude, shut the fuck up. You sound like an idiot, bro. Like you're a grown man. We're like watching what other dudes are doing. That's pathetic. Okay.
Way probably one of the most corrupt cops that I know that still works there.
Oh yeah.
Stories, man. It's just and I don't think to talk about stories because I'm a vindictive person. I think to talk about stories because it's like you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, bro.
Like you're a piece of shit.
That's the one thing. Like this is what people have to understand about me. Okay, like I'm an aggressive guy. I'm very, but at the same time, people who know me, they know that if you're a good person, if you're my friend, if you're my family, if you treat me good, you will get the best out of me. You will never have to worry. And this is what I tell people, right? There's a million stories about me. It depends on who you talk to, okay? There's cops in that department who hate me, right? And then there's cops in that department who know damn well that I was a great cop, that I did my job, that I came back and I proved myself. And I still got fucked. But those guys stuck up for me. And we'll get into all this because, man, I have so much love for so many of those dudes, because a lot of those dudes there, they didn't have to stick up for me. They didn't have to put themselves out there to back me and shit. And a lot of them did. Yeah. But at the same time, why did they do that? They did that because they knew that if I was the cop coming to back them up, that they were going home, that they weren't going to have problems. Yeah. I can't tell you how many fucking cops I worked with where I'd come into work and somebody called that, your normal people aren't there or whatever in your area. And you see somebody that filled in, you're like, fuck, I got to work with this guy today. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of people that shouldn't be cops. There's a lot of people that shouldn't do this job. And I'm going to tell you guys, unfortunately, it's more than there should be. There's probably more cops in these departments that should not be cops. Honestly,
I think it's even worse now with the way, especially up here, the way
100%.
Connecticut is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Because now people are more afraid to be a cop because of everything that they're seeing out there, and the liability of it, and having no backing. And departments just throwing you under the bus. I mean, look at this cop that just shot a guy up in Hartford.
I know.
You got Al Sharpton coming. You got Ned Lamont putting Al Sharpton in his chair, all parading. It's a big show. It's a big show to fuck a guy. To fuck a guy.
Yep.
And they sit there with a big smile on their face to fuck this cop over, bro.
Yep.
And listen, I watched that video of that cop, and these are the things we're going to talk about. In later episodes, we're going to bring up this stuff. We're going to show you clips of what we're talking about. We're going to have it all for you guys. I mean, this cop is getting fucked. And what I think about is, man, like, he has to go through all this. He has to lose his money. His family is going to be affected, everything. And these assholes are sitting there parading themselves around like they're doing God's work and helping society by getting this cop off the street. Yeah. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And listen, I will tell you straight up when a cop is wrong. I will tell you when a cop is wrong. All right. But this cop, he did his job, did what he had to do, and he's getting fucked. And who knows, maybe he'll get it overturned down the road. But this is the problem with the system. And we'll talk about the system too, because I had to sue my department. All right. And unfortunately, my attorney fucked me over heavily. And we'll talk about that because this is my problem, right? I'm not vindictive. I'm not angry, but I hate bad people. Yeah. I hate bad people. I hate people that lie, cheat, steal. I live my life to a certain set of standards and rules. And one of those is morality. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't steal. I don't do anything of that nature to fuck other people over or have victims of my life to get ahead. And this is unfortunately what a lot of society is doing. And unfortunately, what especially a lot of
law enforcement,
the top of society is doing. It's kind of sad because I tell people all the time, right? When you grow up and you're young and naive, even into your early 20s, you grow up and your family is always telling you, like, work hard, this, that, whatever, do the right things, blah, blah, blah. And yes, they're not wrong. And you should do that. But the reality is when you're young and you look at people that have money or are in high status jobs, things of that, you think that they did what your parents told you to do, that they did it the right way, that they worked hard, that they were good at what they did. And that's why they're there. And that's why they have the money. And the truth of the matter in this world that we're living in is most people that are in these positions of power, that are leadership positions, they're abusing their power. They fucked people over to get there. They're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing. I mean, look at the New Haven police chief that just happened. All right. What happened with him? He got caught out stealing money. And I worked for this guy, and we'll get into this down the road too. I worked for him. I have nothing bad to say in terms of how he treated me. He treated me great. Okay. But people know that when I see guys like this, right, whether you treated me good or not, I'm going to speak up. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of people know that. A lot of people, when that happened, a lot of people hit me up because they know I'll make a video about it. I'll talk about it. And the fact of the matter is, dude, you're a scumbag, bro. Yeah. Yes, you were nice to me. You were good to me. You treated me well. But I don't just look at how you treat me. I look at how you live your life, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll be respectable to you because you're being respectful to me. But it doesn't mean I respect you as a whole. Yeah. Right? And that's what's happening. We got police chiefs stealing money constantly. We have police chiefs that are lying, cheating, stealing. Police chiefs that are committing crimes. It's out of control at this point.
There was just another one that got bagged for stealing money from the, I think it was
that was a union. Yeah, that was a union. I think it was in like Seymour or something like that. Yeah. Somebody sent me that. Yeah, I saw that. Crazy. And yeah, man, it's everywhere. Like anybody, this is the problem, man. How do you fix a society where anybody that has power abuses it? It's very hard because people just, their morals are shot, man. Their morals are shot. And I don't know. I'm a big believer right now that what we're seeing in society, I think honestly, man, my spirituality level is heightened and grown over my life. And I believe God is very pissed. I think he's pissed right now. Yeah, and I think that he sees that there's a lot of bad going on in society. And this is the first time in society where it's actually being exposed. This is the first time that society's starting to really see that politicians, police chiefs, whatever. People at the top are really fucking doing bad shit, and it's a wide variety of them.
Yeah.
And I think that it's happening for a reason. I think God's exposing all these people, and what happens from this exposure, who knows where it goes. But, the good people in society have to understand that it's not the cops on the street that are really the problem. Okay. And this is the big issue I have where the main reason why I'm doing this with you is I want society to understand, like, that cop that is pulling you over or coming to your house for a call, whether you're getting what you want or not. Like, a lot of people want to get mad at the cop because you didn't get what you wanted, right? You might be I had this happen to me many times where, the person calls the cops, you come there, and they literally, they'll say to me, I'm the victim, I called you guys.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit, lady.
Doesn't mean nothing.
I determine who the victim is. I listen to both sides of the story. I gather the evidence. I determine who was at fault and who's right and who's wrong. Just because you called doesn't mean shit. All right. And that's what you guys have to understand as a society. But at the end of the day, too, you have to understand that I'm just a normal dude, man. I don't have the power to really fuck people over.
No.
Like they don't understand that this isn't the 1950s where cops really probably did have the power on the street to do that. Okay, because the brotherhood was different then. There was a brotherhood.
There was a brotherhood.
Yes, there was. It's long gone, and people don't understand that. I'm just a normal dude. I'm just trying to make a living, go home and pay my bills, and not get fucking fired. Okay, because that's the environment we're living in as a patrolman or as a low level person in a department. Okay, and it's really the guys at the top that have the ability to fuck society. And what people have to understand too is you get mad at the cops, right? They come here, they make the laws, or they enforce the laws and this and that, and they're putting the handcuffs on you. But the reality is who makes those laws? The politicians, the police commissioners, the chiefs. They're the ones who have the power to help society or fuck society. And the majority of them are fucking society and then blaming the patrol
police.
Cops.
Yep.
It's disgusting,
it's
bro.
crazy.
We're here to expose these people and let society know that they're the ones that are the problem. Okay. And they need to be exposed and they need to be seen for who they really are. And that's what we're going to do here. So I think we'll wrap it up today for this episode. I think it was a good start. You guys kind of got an idea of who we are, who we were as cops in terms of what we dealt with. And we'll also get into how we treated people, how we really did the job, because I believe that I did it in the right manner. I believe that I treated people the way they should be treated. And I think that was a big reason why I survived in that department as well, because when you're having a situation where the police chiefs hate you, the leadership wants to fuck you and everywhere, you have a big target on your back. Yeah. You have to really be good at the job. You have to really be good at the job because a little fuck up, they will fucking pounce on it. They're waiting for that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hands down.
So what happened with me is I had to really be good at the job. I had to know the rules. I had to follow every rule. But at the same time, I didn't take shit. I didn't let people talk down to me. I didn't let the police chiefs fuck me. And I pushed back when I had to push back. And they hate that. But at the end of the day, why couldn't they get rid of me? They couldn't get rid of me because to fire somebody, you better have a good reason to fire them. And if I didn't violate shit, and I'm not violating people's rights or lying or doing bad things as a cop, and I'm doing my job good, and you just don't like my personality because I don't bow down to you, then guess what? You're not going to be able to get rid of me no matter how many times you try. But the problem is most cops don't have the balls like I had the balls. Okay. And I will say that because I've seen it happen. And I had many cops come to me when I was fighting with police chiefs. They were trying to fire me. They were trying to do a lot of bullshit to me. I didn't do it just for myself. I didn't fight back just for me. I fought back for everybody in that department because these chiefs need to be taught a lesson that just because you're higher power and higher status than me doesn't mean that you're stronger than me. Doesn't mean you're stronger than me, bro. No. And I'm going to teach you that lesson. And I did teach them that lesson because they lost. And I listened. There was a time where a police chief got very embarrassed getting lost, losing against me, and came up to me straight up and told me to my face that, listen, we see the support you have, and we want you to be a part of our team. It's like, what? Be a part of your team, bro. Be a part of your team. No, you should be a part of our team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference there.
Yep.
So this is why I did it. I did it for everybody in that department. And a lot of cops knew that. A lot of cops came up to me and told me, like, listen, bro, we love what you're doing. Listen, you know what would happen too is I took control. I didn't let the union. We'll get into all that too on if you're a new cop, how you have to take control. You can't let the union should be there to help you. They're not always, okay?
No.
Some unions are good, some are shitty. Fortunately for me, in the beginning when I had my first incident, the union was great, man, really good, really strong. I used them and they helped me. Second time around when I had incidents down the road, the union was weak people running the union.
Weak people
and
running.
I had to take control. I had to literally tell union presidents, attorneys, no, you do what I say.
Yeah.
You work for me, bro.
Yeah.
All right. And the problem is most people are lazy or they sit back or they don't really know. And they think that these guys are going to really go work hard for them. And guess what? They're not. You have to understand, people.
No.
Nobody's going to work harder for you than you. Okay.
Yourself.
Because these people at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you get fired, they still have their job. They still go home. They still make their money. You know, they don't even think about you, bro. Okay. Very few times are you going to get somebody that is really going to fucking stick up for you. I had that not with the attorneys and shit like that in the union. Some of them were good. I'm not going to say they were bad, but I had to really push them. I had to really tell them. I had scenarios where they wanted me to sign shit like you, and I told them no. And they're like, oh, really? You just don't want to sign it and get this over with? No, bro, because me signing this means I'm going to get fucked at some point. How do you not see that as an attorney?
Yeah.
You know, but they just want to they don't want to really work hard, bro. And that's another thing we'll get into is how as the higher people get in society, the less hard they want to work.
Oh yeah.
Right? The less they want to do. They just fuck off. You know what I mean? It's almost like we're paying all these people at the top all this buco money and nothing's getting done ever.
No.
And it's you know, it's just a mess, man. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
So we'll get into all this down the road, guys, and we'll bring you a good show. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you want to get involved, comment down below, DM us. We're gonna have TikToks, we're gonna have Instagrams. We'll put all the info below in the description, as well as our email. You can email us if you have stories, if you have family members that this happened to, if you are a police officer that this is currently happening to, and you want to talk about it. You can come on our show. And we know that there's a lot of rules, like we said, where you might not be able to talk about it. You might not be able to show your identity. We can get around that if you really want to speak out. Okay. You know, we can hide your identity. We can not talk about where you're from, what department, all these things, but you can get your story told. And that's what you guys need. Honestly, you need to push back because that's how I won. I won by pushing back. Okay. They want you to be silenced. They want you to not talk. They want you to be scared. You can't be those guys. All right.
And you're not alone out there.
And one thing I always tell people, we'll end it on this note. I will tell you something that I tell everybody. Okay. What is being a police officer? Being a police officer is basically sticking up for other people. It's going to people's houses and whatever, and having to stand up for them because they can't do it for themselves. So if you don't have the balls to stand up for yourself,
I can do it for them.
How the fuck are you going to do it for other people?
You can't.
It means that you're not going to. It means that you're not going to care as much. If you don't care as much to do it for you, how much do you care about doing it for other people? And that's why the best cops, unfortunately, have problems a lot because they are not afraid to stand up for themselves. And when you stand up for yourselves, also understand that there is a lot of bullshit that comes with it. Okay. But you should be strong enough to deal with it. All right. Because in the end, if you deal with it long enough, you can get through it and you can prove to these people that you're not a little bitch and that they shouldn't be doing this to you. And they'll learn their lesson eventually. Believe me. Okay. So if you are one of those guys, hit us up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment. You know, we want interaction. We want people that are, you know, really feel as if they're getting railroaded as police officers. We want you guys to come out and tell your stories. All right. So we're going to provide you with a lot of content. Make sure you follow, comment, follow all the Instagrams and TikToks and stuff, and we'll keep this rolling, man. So Anthony, man, it was nice having a good first episode with you guys. I'm glad that we got to tell our stories, and like I said, man, we want to be very open and honest with you. And the reason being is this: there's a lot of people out here, right? Influencers, podcasters, all this stuff that want to criticize other people, want to act like they're real, and this and that and whatever. And then you go look deeper into them and you realize that they're lying about stuff or they're hiding stuff. One thing you'll understand about myself is I'm an open book. I don't care what you know about me.
Mm.
All right. Good or bad. I don't know. I don't care. All right. It doesn't matter to me. And I prefer it. Okay. I prefer that you know everything about who I am as a person, everything about what happened in my career. Google me, read all the bullshit articles. And one thing I'll tell you when you go read those articles, okay? Understand this. When you're reading those articles, it's funny because I have to say this to people. Like if let's say I meet a girl or I meet somebody new in my life, you know, they don't know about this stuff that happened to me, and they randomly Google me, because that happens, man. These chicks love to do that shit too. They love to Google you, and then they see this and they're like, oh, what the fuck? And the reality is what I'll tell you is this: go read all the articles. Go read how the media is. At this point in time in society, you should know how the media is. You should know they're not the most honest people out there. But when you read about me and you see what happened with me or how they portrayed me, and hopefully you read the good articles too, but understand something. Who did I hurt? Who were victims of the shit that I had to go through? Nobody. I didn't beat people up. I didn't take their rights away. I didn't violate their rights. I wasn't off duty fucking robbing people and stealing money and doing shit like this. All I did was get drunk one night and have a bad fucking night. Okay. And who did it hurt? Me. It hurt myself. There was no victims of the shit that I did. That was one night of my life that unfortunately led to a career filled with bullshit. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I didn't hurt anybody. Okay. And that's one thing I'll take pride in. I'll take accountability for what I've done and the bad night that I had, but I didn't hurt anybody. I only hurt myself. Okay. And that's one thing that I'll pride myself on in my life, is that you'll never hear anybody say that they were a victim of my life. Okay. Yeah. And that's how it should be always. Okay. So we'll end on that note, guys. I hope you had a good talk with us and understanding where we're coming from. This is going to be a different type of police show for you guys. All right. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. All right. So till next episode, make sure you subscribe so you can see when the next episode comes out, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
All right. Have a good night, guys.